أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our respected viewers and welcome on Youth Matters with me, your host, Sakina Habib. I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to you all on the shahadat of our mother, Lady Fatima Zahra, salamullahi alayha, during these Ayyam Fatimiyya days. Now, Bibi Fatima Zahra holds significant importance for youth due to her exemplary character and values. She exemplified patience, generosity, and selflessness, teaching children to prioritize others' needs over their own, and also to young women and young mothers to always prioritize their family and their excel in their career as well. Now, if I talk about her role as a mother, it emphasized the importance of nurturing and upbringing, instilling virtues like honesty and respect. If I talk about her commitment to justice, Bibi Fatima's commitment to justice and her eloquent defense of rights serve as a model for standing against oppression, which is a key lesson for so many youths today. By embodying these principles, she inspires youth to cultivate strong moral foundations and contribute positively to the society. Now, on today's program, this is exactly what we're going to be discussing about how Bibi Fatima Zahra emulates these certain characteristics and inspires us from her life lessons. On today's program, I will be joined by a very esteemed guest, inshallah, Sister Alima Fatima Naqvi, who is joining me from Pakistan at the moment. And she is an A level student, and I would like to welcome her on board. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Alima? I hope you're keeping well. And I would like to extend my condolences to you as well on the shahadat of our mother, Bibi Fatima Zahra, salamullahi alayha, and of course to our Imam al Mahdi, ajallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, on the shahadat of his great grandmother. Hope you're doing well.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing very well, and I hope you are too. Yes.
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Well,
Thank you
dear
so much
Mr.
for joining me, Alima. Thank you for your precious time. And
It's my
the
pleasure
fact
to be.
that, yes, and the fact that, we're discussing this very important topic. I'm so grateful to get your perspective and your viewpoint. You are young and you're a student as well. So when I would to start off by asking that, when we talk about Bibi Fatima Zahra, salamullahi alayha, how can young women today emulate Bibi Fatima's modesty and generosity? If you can perhaps even share a couple of examples or narrations, that would be very good.
Okay, inshallah. First of all, I'd like to start off by talking about Lady Fatima alayhi salam as a role model, exactly. Imam Khomeini said, if you don't learn from Hazrat Fatima's austerity, her piety, her modesty, and other virtues, you haven't understood the essence of womanhood. Obviously, at Hazrat Fatima's time, in that day and age, women matured at very young ages, and the teens of today can't, in the way we're raised in today's society, we can't model that behavior exactly. But when we learn about Hazrat Fatima, we try to learn about her and her history and what she did in her life. As short as it was, she only lived up to the age of 18, and yet she did so much. Then it becomes our duty as well as the youth of this modern age to try and emulate and
Right.
act as she did. Um,
Right, absolutely. So,
has
as you said, like she was only 18 and she did so much. And if you compare today's youth, I mean, look at the teens today and the our I mean, there's a shift in our mindset, in our priorities and in our responsibilities that we want to pursue something in. So, what would you say about that? Yeah.
I would say that the society that we're raised in, it directs the minds of it from a very young age, tries to direct the minds of youth to a certain path, to a different path. Especially, obviously, Western psychology and Western society tries to
Mm.
indoctrinate minds
Right.
of
Right.
young Muslims, especially, and we're easily affected. So, growing up in
Mhm.
the West or in societies of that nature, even Muslim countries now, what really is there in our
True.
there's not really much of difference between West and here. So, in that way, we're all indoctrinated from a young age. And growing up like that, we obviously, our goals become very in the box, and we don't think much outside of the realm. We don't think about
Mm.
our true purpose, or we don't relate our purpose much to our religion, when really religion and life are one, your one true path. So they remain disconnected, and as we grow older, they say that youth have more of a stronger connection towards God, and it's the faith is strongest at this time. So not having that link,
Mm.
building it when you're older becomes a lot more difficult. So this way, a lot of
Right.
people are obviously led astray, and walking on that path again becomes a lot more difficult. So this is a very
Mm.
difficult journey and a difficult
Why do you think is there a
role to
disconnection
emulate.
though? Why is there a disconnection? I mean, between religion, as you said, and our mentality today. I mean, what could be some of the reasons why is it that some of the youths are not really much connected to, as you said, to have that goal towards religion?
The most main reasons would be distractions that are all around us in various forms, but um, it could also be the way our families are raised. When
Hmm.
one generation doesn't understand the truth, how can they teach it to the next? So we're all sort of a pile of falling dominoes as they go, um,
Yeah.
ending up in a pile of
Hmm.
failure at that point. So
Right.
it it's important to have awareness, and when you come upon that awareness, to act upon it and to learn as much as you can. And when learning, the next important step is to obviously act upon those things that you've learned. And with
Right.
act would come more understanding, more knowledge, and then a person becomes stronger in their faith, inshallah.
Inshallah, yes, absolutely. You mentioned a beautiful point here that, just having the knowledge itself is not important because you need to apply it practically. And I think that is a challenge that we often face. So if we look at all these holy personalities, Bibi Fatima al-Zahra, Bibi Zainab, and Bibi Kulthum, and so many Bibi al Baneen. These were all women who had that serving passion in them, as in they, did not just limit the knowledge or that wisdom to themselves, but like they inspired, people during their era as well as in our times. And I think this is one quality that we should embody as youngsters, as well as, as adults, like when we even listen to
Absolutely.
sometimes the majalises. Yeah, so like we just listen to it, we feel inspired for like a couple of moments, or during that, a period of the majalises, and then we sort of shift back to our mundane routine and realities of life, and then we're not able to instill those values in our practical lives. So yes, that is a good point that you've mentioned. And you said that there are a lot of similarities that you find when it comes to the Western ideology in the West, as well as in the East, like in the Eastern countries or in the Muslim countries. Yeah, that's what you said, the Muslim countries. So how
Yeah.
would you say, like, what are those challenges? What did you see from your perspective? How would you say that? How would you justify your point?
I grew up essentially in the UK. From ages of 2 until 14, I spent over there. So primary school and a tiny bit of secondary, essentially. And then
Mm-hmm.
high school, I spent over here. I did my O levels, and now I'm doing my A levels. I went to an Islamic school actually,
Okay.
and
That's-
uh, over here in Pakistan, I went to an Islamic school. So
okay.
it was in the beginning, I thought it was obviously very different from the UK. We learned about Islamic values and we prayed on time and such things. Um,
Mm.
but when I would talk to the students, nothing that we really learned about Islam was reaching their hearts or their minds. It was basically
Really?
something they'd just take in class and walk away as if nothing really. And they'd be back
Yeah.
on talking about, yeah, they'd be back talking
Okay.
about those usual things, pop stars and God knows what. So it wasn't, it
So
was
wait,
just
you're,
the
you're
same.
saying this happened? Wait, where did this happen? In Pakistan or in the
In
UK?
Pakistan, yes.
In
In
Pakistan. Okay,
Pakistan.
okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I thought that, yeah, I felt very comfortable because these girls were exactly like the ones I knew in the UK. I didn't feel much difference. So
Right. Yeah.
that was,
Yeah. And what do you
and
s- what would you say, like from your perspective? Is there like more? I mean, Islamic spirituality in the UK or more in Pakistan? And I don't know. I mean, it differs, country to country and city to city. Like, in Pakistan also there are so many cities, so like, of course, based on the culture and background from where people come from, obviously the mindset is different, and like the habits, are different. So what do you think? What did you see?
I think they both actually have um, their good sides. For example, in Pakistan, there was a more importance to acts, more
Okay.
importance to doing, more importance to praying on time. We can hear the
Okay.
azan every day as the masjid
Okay.
is close by. More importance to going to majalis, going and listening to lectures, and reading the Quran
Hmm.
on a certain time. So for acts, I would say that um, we give more importance here. But
All right.
in England, understanding Deen and understanding Islam is more um, important, is given more importance, because going
Hmm.
over there or attending lectures over there is by choice or more by
Right.
because you want to understand, so you go there. Over here you have to uphold and you have to take these things, and you get into a
Right.
practice of doing it ritually without understanding it. So you're
Mhm.
doing the acts, but you're not understanding much. Whilst over there, because you don't have that environment, you have to go there yourself. You have to make the choice to understand to get to a certain
Right.
point. So
Yeah. So
there
actually
are
there's
those
an extra
differences.
effort. Yeah, there's an extra effort that you need to put in, to attend these lectures, and that's because you are eager to learn about it, which is I feel like that's again a challenge on its own, because with all the commitments that you have on a daily basis, you make time for that. So yeah, that shows that you're really interested into doing this. Now, if I were to ask you what qualities of Bibi Fatima to Zahra salamullahi alaiha inspire you the most, Alima, what would you say?
For me, the most inspiring quality of Lady Zahra alayhi salam would be her courage in the face of oppression, uh, a characteristic which she, of course, passed down to her daughter, Lady Zainab alayhi salam, as well. Um, Today, the things that we face in the Muslim world, especially in the Western world, hatred, violence, and oppression due to, again, indoctrination of minds against
Mm-hmm.
Islam, which they believe to be a radical religion or whatever. It's scary, of course, growing up there and thinking that you could face this sort of racism any day. Um, and it's more scary as someone who puts effort into the religion because you want to stand up for rights. You want to stand up for example, the genocide that's going in Palestine right now. You want to go out on protests and raise your voice for these people, but there are other people who are against it and who are willing to commit acts of violence against you to silence your voice. That's obviously really scary, and it takes courage to make that sort of step. It takes courage. 'Cause courage is a decision and not a feeling, essentially.
Right.
It takes courage to raise your voice. But
Very
they,
true.
in those times of hardship, raised their voice. Lady Fatma alayhi salam stood for Imam Ali, and Hazrat Lady Zainab alayhi salam stood for Imam Hussain. She raised her voice in the court of Yazid. So this trait of courage is, I think, most important in
Hmm. And
our
as you
current.
said, like, courage is very selective, as in not everybody can, just come out and protest or say that this is right, this is wrong, because obviously you need to have a very clear mindset. When you're taking this approach, you need to think about your family, you need to think about your work, you need to think about a lot of factors, that could get
Absolutely.
affected if you like take the step in the rah of khuda. So as you said, like, these personalities were like, their minds were ingrained with this divine wisdom and this divine mission, that what they want to do is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they knew that this was the right thing. So to have that characteristic and to have that courage is very important. What about her commitment? How can her commitment to justice and equality influence our actions today?
As the daughter of the Holy Prophet, she obviously embodied the values of compassion and righteousness. By following her example, we can strive to create a more just and equal society. She courageously spoke against injustice, as I said. She, even when faced with opposition, like when her husband, Imam Ali alayhi salam, was facing opposition for his imamate, she demonstrated remarkable courage then. Even before, she would go out and deliver sermons to the people, speaking the truth and challenging unjust systems. So yeah, standing up for the oppressed even in difficult times and prioritizing her principles over any personal gain, taking a stand for the truth even whilst alone. So
Absolutely.
these
Taking the stance alone. Yeah, taking the stance of truth alone. I mean, that is something, again, we see that um, so many challenges were there. And how sometimes you have to take the right path on your own without having a lot of people, right?
It's
So
most
that is
difficult,
also a
yes.
challenge. I mean, as youths, today, like, look what's happening on social media, or like in our friends' gatherings or circles. You will see all types of people, right? and now you have to make that choice or decision, that which way do I want to take. I could become lonely and alone, as in the sense that I might lose a lot of friends. I might lose the popular ones out, and how will my image be portrayed now in public? And also, yeah, then you have to then make the right
Yeah,
choice.
peer pressure.
Exactly, peer pressure, right? You get influenced, right? What about Alima? If I were to ask you, in what ways can women emulate Bibi Fatima Zahra's balance between family responsibilities and personal aspirations? I think this comes across as a huge challenge for a lot of women because of the open mindedness. And obviously I'm not touching the feminism part right now, because that's a whole different topic. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
the being modern today rather than being the traditional. So what are your views on this?
Like you said, feminism is on a rise, and women have very different ideals as to what they think their rights should be in the future. Um, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given women a responsibility to be the one to nurture her family, to provide them strength, to be a. They say that when a woman thrives, all of society benefits from it. So this is because one woman has an ability to change 7 generations, because of the nurturing and strength and growth that she can give as compared to a man. Lady Fatma alayhi salam, she managed the household, she delivered sermons, she was a teacher, a mentor, a mother, a wife. She was a perfect woman, an example to all of us, and she pursued knowledge throughout her life until the very end. So, looking at her life, there she had a perfect balance. She strived for all things that a woman should strive for and should do in her short time. And if we look at her life, then we can see that giving priority to your family first. Obviously, as youths, we gain knowledge along the way. We go to school, then university, and then whatever. And then you eventually get married and you have to start a family. It's important to teach your children those values, to pass on your knowledge, and to improve your knowledge yourself as you pass it along, to not let the truth that's been passed down generations fade out. And the same thing about future generations, where when one woman stops that passing of knowledge, stops that nurturing, then a whole lineage is ruined. So,
Right.
given that, it's really important that um, for a career, when a woman makes an environment where her children can flourish, she when her children flourish, then the future also
Yes, becomes
flourishes and
brighter,
thrives in a way,
flourishes.
becomes brighter.
Yes,
And this itself is an important job. If alongside
right,
that, for example, in our time we'll have many difficulties, like there might not be enough people, enough men, for example, going out, like in times of war, when women are needed to take
right,
on a role besides managing the household as well, then it's important to have those skills. That's where your pursuit of knowledge comes extremely handy. Having skills is extremely important, and using those skills for the
right.
betterment of society. That's another important thing.
Absolutely. And I just
But
want to add a very quick point over here. I just want to connect to what you said. You said that when men will be going to war, and then obviously, like, the responsibility will automatically fall on the women. Look at the women of Palestine and Lebanon today. So this is what's happening, right? Because obviously the men are being killed and attacked. They're on the front scenes, right? And now it's the women who
right,
are left behind, obviously with their children. And how beautifully have we seen with our own eyes that, how with their knowledge of the Holy Quran, they gather these halaqas and gatherings together, and they make their children sit down and recite Quran all together, and they give them that courage and strength. I mean, this reminds me of how Bibi Zainab salamullahi alaiha was,
absolutely,
took up on this responsibility as the leader of those women during the day of Ashura. And she was like there for them, and she was a healer for them, and she was like, their sipe salar, like, we hear in majalises as well, like she took that leadership responsibility. So as you said, very well said, that as a woman you should know, like, which gaps to fill in, like which holes are there, which loopholes are there where I can fill in as my responsibility. And so that's why a woman should be very well educated in all sectors of areas, I feel like, even when it comes to education, whether it comes to nurturing your children, to gain that resilience and strength, it's very important. Yeah, absolutely, you're right.
yeah. I'd
What
like
are
to add on to that for a
Yes,
second.
please do. Yes,
Um,
yes.
where often when women, Western, those who have grown up in according to Western norms, when they hear these things, they might think that it's degrading of a woman to
Yeah.
be at home and only to come out when like men are unavailable or whatever. But it's
Mm,
very it's the complete opposite thing in a way, where obviously people they think that perhaps we don't consider men and women to be equal when in their own right, according to their responsibilities, they have different responsibilities, but men and women are equal in that way regard. Nonetheless,
right.
they're not, one is not inferior to the other. So it's just that understanding at this point becomes important. When you don't understand your deen and you don't understand your religion, you don't understand your purpose behind it, then how can you understand your role as a woman as well?
True.
So that's where
Absolutely.
understanding of deen
Very true.
becomes most important.
Yes, you have to. And there's that clash of culture that comes in between. I think that is the problem. The facade and the agenda. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm sure you can relate it to, especially our, I don't know how to say it, but like our subcontinent, like in the India and Pakistan, and the mentality that lies. For example, Islam says that, a man and women are equal. Of course, but they're designed with different roles. But if you look at the boys of Pakistan sometimes. Okay, I'm not what do you say, defaming anybody or saying anything, but like they say that, like they expect the woman to do everything, and they're usually very laid back. So like they think that, just because I'm putting the finance on the table, I'm providing the bread for the house, that's where my duty stops. And also in the West, I mean, I don't know much, but then in the West, okay, yeah, you've got like two people working in the house, because that's how the system is. The economy works in such a way. Two people can be supporting each other. In very rare scenarios, we see that, for example, if a woman wants to take that power in the house, like, she wants to be the ruling person, I'm going to do everything. And so she puts the husband in the back seat, wanting to take the front seat more. So, like, we see, a switch in the roles sometimes, right? So, we it's important to bring a balance and harmony, in the relationship of the husband and wife, as you said. And that's why Islam says that, both men and women are equal, and we should know our religion, as you said. um
Absolutely.
so Alima,
Uh,
what about yes, Alima, yes, you
I
want
was
to
just
add on
going
this?
to say that um,
Yes.
when these, obviously, our culture has assigned gender roles. In
Right.
Pakistan and India, these gender roles come from the Hindu religion anyway, that was once followed in
Hmm.
the subcontinent overall. And
Yeah.
these get mixed up with
Right.
Islam in Pakistan, at least, and then obviously creates big misunderstandings. But
Yeah.
as a modern generation that prides itself on educating itself, it's important to then get deep down to the core of what's really going on and understand the beginning of everything and the true principles of
Right.
Islam and the role of women. And then it becomes important for a woman who's understood that, or even a man who's understood that, to teach their children those things, so that um, that culture is broken and future generations don't copy such a thing, and hence a better society is made.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We need to break that generational trauma and that generational mentality somewhere in between. Like someone has to step
Absolutely.
up and do it. Yeah. So sometimes you do have to become the villain, but like for a good cause, right?
Right.
Okay. What about if I talk about, yeah, this is a very important one. That how did Bibi Sayyida Fatima's relationship with her father influence her character? I think this is an important question. Why? Because, behind every woman, they say that there is a, like a backbone support of her father or her brother, or, it could be her husband. I mean, a male figure is very important in the life of a woman, I feel. So, how do you think, how did her father's, influence in her life make a difference?
Um, Contrary to the impression that we often get that Bibi Fatma was an outstanding woman simply because she was the daughter of the Prophet or the wife of Imam Ali, we can tell that from history, that though she lived a short life of 18 years, every moment of her existence was a testament to her greatness. But that greatness definitely, obviously, came from the values that her father taught her. As his daughter, the the Holy Prophet said that Fatima is a part of me. Whoever upsets her has upset me, and whoever harms her has harmed me, and whoever has upset me has upset Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is how much importance was given to Hazrat Fatima alayhi salam, and Surah Al Kawthar even came down uh, at the time of her birth, when they said to the Prophet that, "Oh, you have a daughter, your line will not continue," and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said not to listen to these people because we've blessed you. We've blessed you. Sayyida Fatma's relationship with her father was obviously full of love and affection. She was known as Biha, the father of her mother, showing lots of care and concern for him. And he taught her
Yes.
everything about Islamic values and spirituality. She accompanies him on gatherings,
Mhm.
learning from his interactions. She demonstrated the utmost respect and obedience to him, sought his counsel about things, was supported
Yes.
by him, learned compassion, courage, humility, wisdom. Um, she strengthened her faith through her relationship with her father.
Right.
For us, it shows how much. how important is parents nurturing their children. For Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, the relationship with her father, we gain insight into her exceptional character and the importance of nurturing
Mhm.
relationships with ones and mentors.
Right.
She learned from the Prophet's kindness and empathy, from his bravery and resilience, from his humility and modesty, guidance and teachings. She benefited from them. And she
Mm.
herself became a teacher, a guide for what the Prophet obviously couldn't um, tell the women of that time all parts of the religion that they were to follow, Islam at that time. Hazrat Fatima alayhi salam was there to be the women's guide, to be Sayyidatul Nisa al Alameen, to be uh, the leader of all women. So from that, uh, he was her true role model, and in following
Right.
his steps, becomes a role model
Mm.
for us. So if men should
Absolutely.
emulate the Holy Prophet in every way, then we should emulate his daughter in every way we can.
Right, absolutely. That's a very beautiful message that you have shared, Alima. And you mentioned two good points, that how she was known as the mother of her father, Abiha, because that is an essential role that she had a great command on. Obviously, she took care of her father in a very motherly way, and so that says a lot about her figure and personality. And then how she incorporated the values of her father, being the prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, into becoming Sayyidatun Nisa al Alamin, meaning the lady of the women of the world. I mean, she is like a scholar for us, she is like a mother for us, she's our leader, she's our divine guide. So holding that huge responsibility says a lot about her. So we are almost heading towards the end of our program. Could you just share a final message about what are some practical teachings that the youths can incorporate from Sayyidah Fatima in our lives today in relation to standing up against oppression? Like if we see something which is wrong in the society, it doesn't even have to be like at a very major scale level, something very minor, like even seeing something within our own homes. Okay, maybe there is toxicity going on, maybe there are grudges, or I don't know, family issues, or maybe someone is disrespecting their parents. So yeah, what are two points that you can just share with the viewers today?
The first point is that however little, however small an oppression or a hardship may be, um, that's being faced by someone else, being able to speak up on it is the first step to being able to speak up on something big. You can't expect yourself to not stand up for the small wrongs and suddenly be able to stand up to a big wrong. So that's
Right.
one thing. And another thing that often in households, mistreatment goes ignored. It's ignored, and we think that, especially due to some cultures, that
Hmm.
you can't speak back to your parents at all, even if they're wrong, even if they're abusive or some other kind of mistreatment is going on. That's also wrong. If you can't speak for yourself, you can't speak for others. So you need to speak up. You need to learn about
Yes.
your rights, uh, your rights towards your parents' rights towards you. You should learn about that, and you should learn about
Right.
your rights to speak out in the world, because the West obviously goes on about freedom of speech and clearly doesn't follow those rules that they've set themselves. So
Right.
it takes one to educate themselves on their rights and be able to speak up despite the happenings in their environment. And taking those small steps leads to bigger steps and leads to growth and courage. And courage leads to big acts that make an
Right.
impact.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much for that wonderful advices, and tips. And absolutely, you're right. So when we see like violence going on, if we see oppression, if we see something wrong, we should stand up and, we should say that this is wrong. Because if we do not and we ignore it, then that thing tomorrow will corrupt the coming generations and the entire society on its own. And then to get rid of that is, of course, a huge task, which will take years. And we don't want to, go into a position like that. So, indeed, as you said, yes, we should do that. I would really like to thank you, Alima, for your precious time today and for sharing some beautiful points on today's program that will definitely act as a source of motivation and inspiration for a lot of youths. And I just want to thank you for being with me. And inshallah, I'm looking forward to having a second discussion on. What did we say, the struggles, right, the struggles of the
Struggles of
youth in the modern day age today. So we're going to be discussing both the religious and the mental aspects,
inshallah.
inshallah. Yes, I'm eager and I'm looking forward to that, inshallah. And thank you once again, Alima.
Allah for having me. Jazakallah. I enjoyed uh,
Thank you. So that was Alima with us. Thank you very much for tuning on today's program. And inshallah, we are looking forward to have a more casual and a conversational conversation with Alima in the next program. Inshallah. So please stay tuned and make sure to like and support today's program as much as possible. We love to share everything that is relatable to us, right? Everything which is practical, so that we can apply it in our daily lives. And with that, I would like to leave you all with duas. This is your host Sakina Habib signing off. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.